Hey there, YouTubers, and welcome back to the Looney Bin. As usual, I am your host, Loon. So, we're going to dive into the Pyramid of Home, but before I go anywhere, I want to give a special shout out and thanks to a guy named Manus. Manus absolutely helped out quite a bit during the process of getting the footage that you guys will see here. There was a lot of the technical aspects that I was not really familiar with, and he filled in a lot of the gaps that I had. So, this is not going to be a full-blown guide. I'm not going to actually detail the layout between bosses just because that would be almost probably an hour of video. I think from start to finish I had almost 2 hours of video for this place. So, yeah, it's just massive. It's absolutely massive. I will say though before we dive in here that before each boss you need to find the portal guardians. There'll be on the first floor there's one, on the third floor there's two, on the fifth floor there's three, and so on. Once you find them, you need to actually send players out, and you need to kill those at the same time. Now, as much as I would like to go into detail describing all the trash that you're going to encounter on your way to the bosses, I really don't have the time or space to do that. Basically, I will say you guys need to stick together. Do not leave your team behind. The ads will repop after a period of time, so if people die, you may need to exit and enter back in as a team. The ads themselves, like I said, they're trash, but don't misjudge them because they will wreck face if you're not careful. Alright, now without any more gibberish, let's go ahead and dive into this boss here. This guy is called the Cybernetic, make sure I get the name right, the Cybernetic Demon. Now the Cybernetic Demon is not a hard boss at all. There are just a few things you need to pay attention to. One, you'll see those big fiery flying rings that come out of the wall back there. You need to go ahead and get out of the way of those. You need to work really hard to get out of the way of those because sometimes, yes, they will follow you. So do what you got to do, run, just stay out of them because if you don't, you'll end up like our tank and they'll kill you in about 3 or 4 shots. Speaking of tanks, you need to pick the boss up and you need to basically put yourself next to the wall. The reason you do that is the boss will throw this fireball thing down, and when he does, it wants to throw you. Yeah, that's right, throw you. Kind of like the boss from Collector, where you get kind of punted around if you're not facing the right direction. So, yeah, make sure that you're stacked up there in the corner. Something else to note, you guys with ranged, you need to stay back as far as possible. Same thing with the docks. This guy has a nasty AoE NSD. So, if you're too close to him, you will have your nano skills nuked. Docks, this could be very troublesome for you. Something else to note is that as you're beating on the boss, you will see a damage shield go up. Once that happens, stop damage. Like Beast, when his damage shield goes up, you can't do anything to him until it comes down. So just be patient and don't force your dock to work overtime. I think that pretty much covers this boss, so you guys go ahead and watch the rest of this fight, and I'll pick this up at the second boss. Okay, guys. I don't know where to start with the second boss here. This guy is an absolute nightmare to explain. Let's do this. Left and right side of the room, you have big glowing pillars. They will either flash red, they will flash green. Green is good, red is bad. Now, why is that important? Well, that's important because during the fight you will get either debuffed or you will get polymorphed. To clear the debuff and to clear the polymorph, you need to go run and jump into green. Make sure you jump into green and not red. If you hit red, it will nuke you and it will nuke you dead. Alright, I think that's pretty well explained. Oh, well, let's talk about that debuff real quick. The debuff is called Rust. If it's in your NCU and you've got your NCU set up like mine, it will show up as a red icon with a lightning bolt in it. If that is in your NCU, every time you hit the boss, you will heal the boss for 30 to 50,000 HP. So before you start attacking the boss, you need to make sure that your NCU is clear. Otherwise, you will go backwards in your fight. Now, as the tank runs in, the tank does need to try to stack aggro pretty quick because the tank will get polymorphed. If the tank did not stack aggro quick enough, the boss will run off and start attacking other people. Tank, you need to go ahead and stack damage. If you got taunts and all that other good stuff, use them right away. Make sure that that boss hates you, and it hates you a lot. Once the tank is polymorphed, the tank will actually start going off and beating on the teammates. That polymorph actually looks like a miniature Lot V. Unfortunately, you cannot remove that. The timer on it has to run out, and once it does, then you're back to normal. So just kind of deal with that until it happens. Also, during this fight, the boss will spawn ads. It will spawn between 2 and 3 ads periodically as the HP bar burns down. 2 ad types that you need to watch out for and really pay attention to. First and foremost is Sorrowful, and second is Furious. Now, keep in mind, all ads have to die. You stop damage on the boss and you burn the ads. But these 2 in particular are a bit of a pain in the ass. Now, Sorrowful, the reason it's a pain in the ass is because it will actually nuke your nano skills for about 500. This means if your doc is not ready for this and the doc gets drained for 500 points, your team's going to die off pretty quick because unfortunately docs, when they lose 500 nano skills, they can't dig up old heals fast enough to make up for that. The other one I mentioned, which is Furious, it does have a nasty little damage shield. Engineers can rip that, so if you got an NG with you, make sure that they've got the ripper running. The rest of them, they just hit hard, so not a big deal. You guys just need to really burn them. All right, I think that's pretty much those mechanics. The other thing I will say is make sure that while you guys are fighting this thing, stay off of the high spots. You need to stay in that lane that stretches between the 2 pillars of light. Basically, do not run up to the high area or back into the area where you spawned in there. You need to stay in that lane that runs kind of left or right between the 2 light pillars. The reason we do that is if you get up there on that high spot and you get too far back there, the boss can actually lose aggro in reset, and you'll go backwards in all the progress you just made. Well, damn, this fight's almost over, and yeah, I did actually die there at one point in time, and also if you watched my NCU, you'll see that I had Rust in there, and I was healing the boss. My team members kindly reminded me that I needed to clear that. So, yeah, I'll let you guys finish watching the rest of this, and I'll catch you at the next boss. Alright guys, I assume you've made it this far, so you've gotten past that second awful thing we call a mutated Lot V. And you are now staring at the Maiden. Well, the Maiden, it's actually a pretty easy fight if you follow directions very simply. Alright, you'll notice that the Maiden is standing up there on a platform. Don't attack her while she's on the platform, it just heals her. Anytime she's up in the air on a platform, leave her alone, because it will heal her. Eventually she will come down off that platform, and once that happens you can go ahead and attack her. Docs, go ahead and UBT her. She doesn't hit all that hard, but she does hit hard enough, so keep that in mind. Once you burn her HP bar down a little bit, she'll go back up onto her platform, stop attacking, and kill the ads. Now this is super important. Any ads that spawn, they need to die ASAP, and they could spawn on either side of the platform. The reason you need to kill the ads this really quickly is because if they stay up too long, kind of like what fanatics do in the Inner Sanctum, they will do this really nasty thing, and they'll just kind of insta-gank the whole team. So ads have to die quick. Now, as long as you follow all these directions, you got a lot of hopping back and forth to kill all these ads. But follow those directions, and this is a really easy fight. So you guys just enjoy the next 6 or 7 minutes of this fight, see how it plays out, and apply this strategy to your raid. Yeah, I sped up the last boss. I did. I doubled the speed because unfortunately the video was going to run somewhere like 30 minutes long, and it's like, oh my god, too long. So I cut it back by, wow, almost 7 minutes. I took a little bit of this and that from here and there, and made things squished together a little bit. And I did that because I wanted to leave this last fight in its entirety. Now, the concept to this fight is pretty straightforward. Basically, there's these floating blobs that will move around the playfield. Tank will pick the boss up, and the tank will move the boss to one of these floating blobs. Now, the reason you do that is because those floating blobs will remove this it's a damage shield, but basically the boss takes no damage while this shield is up. So these blobs I'm talking about, they're big, flashy, glowy lights. You can even target them. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on their name right now. Alright. So, boss is drug over there. That's good. Now you guys are going to be running your asses off. And when I say running your asses off, I mean running your asses off. A fixer would probably make this a hell of a lot easier. See, basically, you're going to beat on the boss as soon as that reflection or reflect comes off. And the boss will then kind of move to the center of the room. Once the boss moves to the center of the room, let the disco begin. These blue beams of light will come flying down out of the sky. You need to stay out of those because after they hit the ground, they will kind of blow up into flames. And if you're standing inside them, you will take huge damage. Also in this mix, we've got those flying fire rings again. And this time, they are a hell of a lot more heat-seeking than previously. So you need to run your ass off to avoid all that stuff. Now beyond that, that's the extent of the mechanics. Boss needs to be taken across the big floaty red glowy things. And people just need not stand in stuff. If you do this, you do a lot of running around, it's a very easy fight. Now, I will say it is easy, but it's absolutely epic. All this dancing in between these blue pillars and fire rings, it's absolutely epic. And whenever everybody makes it out the other side, it's even that much more epic. So I'm going to shut my trap. You guys enjoy the rest of this video, and if you like it, as always, go ahead and click the like button at the end. And if you'd like to see more of this stuff, go ahead and click subscribe. All right, guys, I leave you to it. Enjoy.